right.
Bum, 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 bum. Hey, everybody. Um, okay, that's what happens if you just give to me for the moment. Hey, here we are. It's your friendly neighborhood Tyson and Aaron, and mostly Aaron. And we're here on another Friday to have some fun and be amazed at what the SketchUp guy can bring to us. I hear we're going to be hanging with suspense, and why don't you tell us what we're up to today?
I mean, it's all downhill from bump, 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 bump. Yeah, I mean, they say you can't do sounds without a soundboard like Matt, but I think you've proven them wrong, Tyson.
Oh, or
Ah,
or proving them right,
that's
whether
true.
we
You proved
can or
something.
can't.
Something
Remains to
happened.
be said.
That's right. Welcome to SketchUp Live. It is Friday afternoon, which means we are streaming live and we are going to model some stuff. My name is Aaron Dietzen, and I'm going to be modeling and hanging out with us, reading your comments, telling the way we should be doing things and not the way I'm doing it is my buddy Tyson.
Oh yeah.
Also human soundboard. I should add that to his CV right there.
Pew!
See? Save. So, yeah, today we're going to be modeling some truss hangers. Well, some hangers, some connectors. For those of you who are familiar with light frame building, it's the things that hold like wood framing pieces together, those kinds of things. So I have a pretty extensive background in light wood and steel framing design, so I thought this would be kind of a fun one, little throwback for me. But yeah, we're gonna make some of these models, and I thought what I thought would really be cool was to not just model the hardware itself, which is going to be similar to our machine part modeling sessions, which some of you may have been part of, but take that and actually add to the component with some different levels of detail. So these aren't official LOD 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. This is just like 3 different ways that the same component could be displayed in a model or an output. So I thought that'd be kind of fun thing to do. So yeah, that's as much thought as I've put into this. So we'll see where it goes from here.
I'm gonna say, Aaron, you can say it's not official, but that doesn't compute. You're the SketchUp guy.
Great.
This is your expertise. You're gonna be doing LODs. So if it's not 1, 2, 3, it's 1.0, 1.5, 2.2.
Sure.
It's something.
Well, we'll throw a number on there that increments and decreases,
Well,
increases and decreases
okay,
based on
here's
some
an
level of detail.
opportunity. Then, are you going to save them all as different files so that we can have multiple saves?
Ooh, that's a good idea. No, you know what we'll do? Here's what we'll do, Tyson. We'll show how to export a component using the right-click menu.
What?
Huh? Training on the fly, where you do it.
You heard it here first, folks.
That's right. All right, let's hop in. There we go. Lead up music. Perfect. Yeah, so I'm going to mention something too because I got a handful of you here. We're not all here, so I'll mention this again. But we are, depending, you might be watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube. What's that other platform that people used to be on?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we were topical. Check it out. But we do have, I mean, one of our most active places for learning content is YouTube. So if you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, I recommend it because we do put a lot of videos up there, not just these live streams, but every week we put out multiple pieces of content specific to learning SketchUp and the programs that work with it. So I would suggest checking it out. But we are almost at 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're at 500, just under 500,000 right now. So we're doing a little competition. We're going to do a competition, and what we're asking is for you guys to do a model in SketchUp that is inspired in somehow by 500,000 SketchUp subscribers. I don't know what that is, but we would love to see your thoughts on that. Get a model created, post it to 3D Warehouse, and then we actually have a forum post going about this that Tyson can look up and share in the
Oh,
comments. I didn't prep him for that.
you're making me do homework.
I just threw that out there. Yeah. So yeah, and just because it's been commented on, normally when I'm sitting here, Jody's the one making fun of me, and it's Tyson instead. So just to explain that, we do have we let Jody out for a little bit. So we opened his pen and let him run around. He's on vacation the next couple weeks, so Tyson is filling in for him. So thus the lack of Jody on the stream.
Yeah, and there's a couple comments that it's not Jody 2.0, it's like Jody 0.20. It's a lesser version.
Oh, I had to sell you up if you're helping me out. All right. Yeah. So we'll get that post up. We'll share it a couple times throughout the stream, so as people join, you can see it. Anybody can hop on there and do that. You have to sign up for the forum so you can post. If you haven't done that already, I highly recommend that also. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a cool one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our live streaming team. We have a big team now. It used to be, there was a narrow time where it was just me. And we've added people over time, and now we've got like 6 people who work on our live streams and our video content and our training content, which is pretty cool. So all of us as a team are going to kind of go through those models and check out what you guys come up with. And then we'll do a dedicated live stream to reviewing some of those models. So we'll see. I don't know exactly what that's going to feel like, if we're going to do like critiques, if we're just going to show them off and brag on them. If they're critiques, I guarantee they won't be mean. So don't not submit a file because you think we're going to tear it apart or something. We won't do that. Yeah. So let's get rolling. So today we are going to model some connectors, some Simpson strong tie truss hangers to be specific. And what I'm going to do is I got a couple images, and these were just, I grabbed these off of the Home Depot website because they're a reseller. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these, import this just as an image. I'm going to grab it. I'm just going to drop it on the ground right here. All right, so this is my inspiration for a model. They don't have, unlike our machine, when we did do the machine modeling, machine part modeling, we have these specific pieces where everything's labeled real well, and they're great exercises. If you haven't seen those, I do recommend taking a look at them because they were really good. And I'm not like propping myself up because I did a good job. I'm just saying it's a good way to learn to use SketchUp because it really is nice. What do you say? Like it's a nice exercise. It's a nice practice because all the numbers are there, all the dimensions are there. So it's a great way to learn how to model. This is a little different because I don't have specific dimensions. So some of the stuff we do here is going to be more along lines of looking over here and then modeling based off of what we see here, not pulling exact dimensions. So this is a LUS 28. This is a common hanger shape. LUS is. It's this kind of face mount. So you have a piece of material that slots right in here, and then this piece out here gets nailed into whatever the header, the supporting piece is, and that's how it works. So I figured we'll do this, and then I have another one that's a top mount hanger. So I'm going to import it real quick also.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, Aaron.
I know you know how to do that.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at this, and okay, yeah, we don't have some exact dimensions, but I can see H, and okay, that's height, and W is width. Usually there's a depth or a length, but there's not. There's a B. So I'm assuming that's bread length. What's the bread? What's the bread on this one?
Close. I believe that's the bucket. I think that's what you call this bottom part that the thing sits in. So yeah, it's almost right. And you'll notice that these dimensions here on the side have nothing to do with some of these other things. So yeah.
I'm going to refer to it bread anyway.
That's okay. Yeah, when you call out my bread width. But those of you who've been here before know that I'm not opposed to working from a lack of detail and making stuff up as I go. So we will be leaning into that. All right. So what I want to do here is I'm going to start with this one right here, my LUS. I have some dimensions here. I'm going to assume that we are going to be supporting a 2x10 in this piece. So based on a 2x10, so these all come in different sizes for different materials, of course. So for a 2x10 LUS, I copied the exact height, width, and depth of the entire hanger and put that right here. So these are also, they're depending on the size, they're made of different materials, and the different materials are, different gauges of steel. So a gauge of steel is just the approximate thickness of the piece of metal. And I wrote down somewhere, hold on, I'm finding my notes. I wrote down exactly what those numbers are, and they're kind of silly small. So there it is. So for this one, this steel is 18 gauge. That's 0.0478 inches. So that's less than 4% of an inch. So it's really thin. We'll see. We'll start modeling that way, but we'll see. We might want to add a little depth just to make it look good. But yeah, as usual, I'm talking too much. Let's get modeling.
Oh, did you say look? I might have missed that, but that's now what I'm going to call B is beefier. So that's the beefiness. Beef.
That could work. The beef number. All right. So I'm going to start by drawing the material that this will be supporting, which is, like I said, a 2x10. So I'm just going to put in 1.5 inches, comma, 9.25 inches. Because, yes, that's the size of a 2x10. I don't make the rules, folks.
Why don't you explain the history of nominal sizes?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, who would it really hurt to just have a 2x10 be 2 inches by 10? You can get whatever, a larger yield of material out of a piece of wood if you take a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch there and 3/4 of an inch there. But man, I guess I just like things simpler than they are. Okay, so here's a chunk of 2x10. So how I would go about this, here's my thinking. So there's a couple things to consider here. One thing is, all of these things are made of steel, and then they're bent. Everything starts as a single piece of sheet metal that's bent and cut and everything. So these are all cut out of flat sheets, and then they're a series of bends and punches to get them into these shapes. So like things like these corners aren't perfect 90-degree angles. They might be fairly sharp on the inside, but on the outside they're rounded because they're bent. There's always a question of how much of that detail do you push after? I'm going to start initially, I'm just going to go in and put 90-degree bends everywhere. So my first massing of this, I'm not going to account for round bends. And I'm not going to, you could, if you're really concerned about making this perfect, you could go in and look at like the allowable, I don't know the words, what the allowable radius would be for the tightest curve you could put on something for an 18 gauge steel plate. But I don't know. That's math and some exacting stuff that probably for this thing, what this thing is, like slap it up in your model and it holds up another piece of lumber. I don't know if you'd want to do that.
Yeah, I'd be curious who would be concerned with like true life accuracy pre-installation of
Someone somewhere probably. I've seen actually several posts up on our own forum with people who were doing something along these lines where they're cutting a shape out of steel and they're going to go bend it and talking about what those radii would be on the bends and stuff. And so I know people think about it. I'm not one of those people. So
you want to go. Oh, I don't think any of us have any of us ever modeled like gears and actually gone into the science and the math of how gears work,
I
that's you know,
I've modeled gears, and what I usually end up doing is modeling a circle, exploding it, and then every other tooth just putting a little square on it, and that's usually as exact as I get. But
right.
yeah, I know there's curves of the teeth and like the size at the end of the tooth versus the yeah, there's a whole thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
That is a subset of culture, gearheads.
Yes. All right. So the width of my bucket is going to be inch and a half because that's the piece it's holding. I'm also going to I'm not going to model, I'm not going to really worry about clearance, like do I need a 32nd of an inch wider than this actually is going to be. I'm just going to model it so it fits tight inside my model. So I'm going to do that. When I come up the side, I'm going to go up the height. So I'm going to go 7.81 inches. So I'm going to come up this side right here. I'm going to say 7.81 inches. That takes me right there. I'm just going to drag a line out just to see that. So the overall width of this thing is 3.56 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, 3.56 inches. I'm going to take that line by the midpoint, and I'm going to stick it right up here at the top, right there. So by putting that, nah, that's not where that was wrong. Okay, I'm going to grab it by the middle, and I'm going to inference to the middle of that. There we go. That's what I want. So that means if I grab this line right here, pull this down to here, pull this across to here, get rid of that line now. I don't need it anymore. Nope, that was exactly the line I needed. That's the line I need. I don't need this. I need here, up the green axis to here. Let's pull that across. That is the base. So that's, you know, from here to here down to the bottom of the beef and across. That's what I'm looking at right there. So I'm going to grab all of that and I'm going to make it component. Call my LUS. All right, there we go. So that I can have, let's take a copy of it and set it right over here. Now I can work in either one. So I come in here and go, all right, let's cut this off like that and erase that. All right, so that's what we got going on. So far, so good.
So far.
So what I would be tempted to do in this particular situation is detail out as much of this backplate as I could before I give it any depth. Tyson, you probably see this too. This question comes up a lot on our forum where people have a volume and they want to like put a bunch of holes in or something like that. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the solution is take it back to a flat surface, put your holes in there, and then pull it up afterwards. So when I can be intentional about my modeling process, that's what I try to do.
That's some good pre-planning, Aaron.
That's doesn't happen often, guys, but it happened here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some eyeballing. I think this is about the middle. So I'm going to say that's right there. And then I'm going to come up 1 inch. I'm not 100% sure what these little shapes are even for, but I'm going to get them in here.
That's an interesting question. I wonder if anybody, right, like just the undulations that are cut out, it's why go through that trouble?
So what I've learned, I've actually worked, the company I worked at before worked with Simpson Strong Tie. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to edit, paste it in to context. So that'll give me those breaks. And I can't say I know what all these different shapes mean, but I'll say they're all there for a purpose. There's a reason that everything is the way it is. Including, it's not on here so much, but like you have these little things right here. They're just that piece of metal's bent back and kind of arced over like that. So what you can do is just tap that with a hammer and that little tiny pin will go in. It's not structural, but it'll hold it in place while you come in and fill the rest of the holes with nails. they also
Mhm.
have on some of their connectors, they have different shaped holes. So some will be triangles and some will be circles. And they're meant to be filled in based on how you're using it in different cases. So there's thoughts to all that stuff. I just don't know what those thoughts are. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab that shape. I'm going to say mirror. I'm going to tap my modifier key to copy. And I'm going to drag this to the middle. And there we go. I, I got to say, I really like that command. I like mirror. All
The
right.
new mirror tool or the
Yeah,
old?
it's great.
I'm with you. I've come to be like, you guys did your homework. Props to our production team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know it seems simple, but man, it's a good one. All right, so now I got 3 holes. I got a hole here, got a hole here, got a hole here. I'm going to come in and create a hole. Let's see, line up from the center there, pull it over. That doesn't look right, but I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to actually, before I do that, it's currently putting in 24 sides. I'm going to drop that down to 12. This is such a teeny tiny hole that I don't really think I need more than that amount of geometry in there. Looks pretty good. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to move it around while there's still something in it because it's easier to grab a hold of than grabbing the outline. And then I'll grab it right by, it doesn't matter where I grab it, but then I'm going to copy it straight up to here. And what I tend to do a lot of when I do this kind of thing is either I left length snapping on, which I know a lot of people don't care for, including myself. I'm not a big fan of length snapping, and I should probably turn it off. but but I want to try to put these even dimensions apart. So I'm going to say this is 3.75 from one hole to the next, and I'll take that one and I'll move that up. Yeah, 2 and let's say 1/4 inch. That's too high. I'll drop that back down. And then I don't really like where those are. They're a little too close to the outside edge, so I'm going to grab all of them. Just slide them back. Okay. All right. For this
Now
piece, yep.
you did not start out with any you say sort of freewheeling and you can size it later, but how kind of large relatively? You are modeling this at a larger scale, right? Than it
No,
probably will end up being.
I'm actually modeling it to scale right now.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, so this right here from here to here should be 3 and 3.56 inches, which is, I'm assuming that, because 8/16
All
would be a
right.
half. So yeah. Yeah, so we're modeling to scale, which is not something we do often. We don't often do that. Well, I guess if we're modeling like buildings, we do. Speaking of which, so I did save. I don't know. You guys may have yelled that at me. I didn't. I wasn't paying
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here, everybody in unison.
attention.
Save, save.
But let's
That's the
go
chorus.
check model info, units. I'm going to take link snapping off. And because our dimensions are in decimal, I am going to use decimal inches instead. That'll be better.
What? You're like mixing imperial and decimal and
I
metric,
know.
and
Living
you're
on the
just
edge.
confusing everybody now.
Living
It's
on
like
the edge, man.
just pick one person to offend. Now you've just thrown everybody under.
All right. To model this little nook in here, I'm just going to model the hole. I'm not going to model the little piece that pops out yet. I'll do that after I've extruded it up. Right now, I'm just trying to get the face that lays down flat. So I'm going to come over here and model that. We'll say 0.25 will come down 0.75 like this. And then what I want to do is, whoops, I went too far. Here will come down let's say like 0.2 inches, something like that. There we go. All right, so with that, that is all the holes that are in that piece. So I could come through now and delete this, delete this, delete this. There's only 4 pieces, so it's not, if I had like a mesh where there's a whole bunch of those, I'd go through a different process to get that pulled out. But in that case, that's good. And now I could use my copy again. I probably should have done that once at the beginning, or once at the ending. So now I gotta, there we go. Okay. Now, here's what I was talking about. So to make this the proper depth, which is an 18 gauge piece of steel, it's going to come up exactly 0.0478 inches.
How'd you know that?
Had it memorized on a piece of paper. So that's about what that piece of steel would look like. I'm not saying this like you shouldn't be doing this, but I just want to point out this is really tiny. This is a really thin piece of material. So if I was looking at this is a 2x10. If I'm going to see it, it's going to look something like that in a real model. It's pretty little and far away. So why am I saying that? I'm just saying that to say there's a chance you want to actually model this maybe a little bit bigger. You might actually want to go in and model this, like 0.1 inch or more thicker so you can see it. There's a chance that I'll get some Z fighting when I put this up onto another piece of material, that sort of thing. We're going to go ahead with it the way it is. That's fine. But just want to let you know that's something to consider if you model something like this is what's the use? What is it being used for? If it is just to put detail into your model, you may want to bump up that width just so it shows a little better.
Well, level of detail, I've got a question for you. Something that
All right.
I wonder. You tend not to change your segment count that often. And is that just because, well, it's not going to matter in this case, or do you have a strategy for when you do or don't?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question because that all comes down to the use of the model. So if I'm making a model that I was going to print out, I usually don't go less than, like 3D print it, I don't go less than 96 segments on a circle, unless it's really small. But like anything that's noticeable, like an inch or bigger, I would go 96 and then maybe even double that if the round piece was bigger. Generally, if I'm just modeling something that's going like an architectural model, it's just going to be a building, I'll stick with 12 or 24 because it's the default and it looks pretty good in most cases. If I'm modeling something that's really small and detailed, I do tend to try to drop it just to save geometry. There's not a hard and fast. Like I said, this little teeny hole is just going to be a little dot on the surface most of the spots I see it from. So 12 seems good. If I was really concerned about keeping this lightweight, I might even drop to like 8 or 6 because, like I said, it's not going to be that noticeable.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah, and I probably would have done 12 too. It's just without a logic to it. It's just this size feels about right. It feels about
That's
right.
right. How does it feel? All right, I'm going to take this. I just traced that hole. I'm going to take it right now. And it's not in context. It's its own thing. I'm going to pull it up like about like that. I'm going to come right here. What's going to be the least painful way to do this? I was thinking I'll come here and just give this little, this is basically what it looks like, something like that. But I have to offset it still. So I still have to offset the geometry. So what I would probably do is make this a group, then come into that, pull that back as I well remembered, 0.478 inches. And then grab this, make it a group. Same thing, come in, double click the same amount. So I got some offset or some, some of this happening. So how do I want to make this look? The easiest might be just to grab this and drag it down here. think that'll work. Okay. Maybe I'll even do this. Bend this to 90 degrees like that, because that's going to be the easiest way to make this teeny piece of geometry. All right. And then I'll grab both of these, make them their own group, so I can go in and explode these. There we go. I mean, I'll come in here too, and I'm just gonna soften some edges that I don't need to see. So that would sit in there like that. I could have put that bend a little further back too. Actually, that probably would have been easier and looked a little better, but I didn't. I'm okay with that.
We are, excuse me. This whole project, of course, is dealing with tiny details, but you're definitely in the realm of, well, the point was to do tiny details. So often it's don't get lost. Don't
That's
get
right.
lost in
It's
the tiny details.
it's funny because I can't count how many times I've modeled something where I'm like, oh, just in there, like creating this complex mesh or this organic thing, and then by the time I zoom out, I'm like, I literally could have made that two triangles and bent them. But yeah, so there's a huge thing to that. No matter what platform you're modeling in, uh, thinking about how much detail you really have to model is super important. Speaking of which, so right now this piece of metal is the exact thickness of this, but you can see it doesn't close up over here. I'm going to grab this edge right here, and I'm just going to drag it to here. That's going to slightly distort the width here. So this is not quite perfect. It's now at a little bit of an angle. But you know what? It's so small, nobody will ever notice it. So I'm okay with it. There we go. So with that, I'm going to grab this piece now.
All right. Anyone not okay with it, shout it out now. I mean, let's hear your uproar.
You might want to just head out because it's going to get worse. All right. Then I'm going to grab both of those, Command X that, come into context, edit, paste in place, and then I'm going to right click and explode both. There we go. So now that geometry has now joined with the main body. In fact, I could come in here, just make it look even more like the drawing. All right. That's looking pretty good. Our face is looking good. So these holes right here, this hole right here is actually a hole that's punched at 45 degrees so it's straight into the corner. So we'll actually cut that out with a solid tools afterwards. Speaking of which, we want to keep this solid. If I select this right now, go to tools and check solid inspector, it's going to tell me that there's some issues. I know I have some internal faces. So I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can fix that. And look at that. She's solid. I do recommend people just keep things solid regardless. Whatever you're doing, keep it solid. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell from this, but what actually happens is this bend is actually a little bit higher up and kind of continues down. So this bucket right here doesn't actually go all the way to the back of the supporting member. There's a little bit of space right here. You can kind of see right there. So what that means is my cut right here is actually in the wrong spot, but I can grab this edge right here and just slide it up a bit. Something like that. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to toggle my show everything. So I just have a shortcut set to show everything else while I'm editing a group or component. The other thing that I have going on is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to draw a line that is my material thickness. So I'm going to draw a line that is 0.0478 inches. I'll remember it at some point. I'm going to take that and I'm going to grab it by the end and drag it down on the green axis till I hit this edge. I'm going to take that. Very straight across. And then I'm just going to cut that off, and I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to grab this edge, the end right here, draw a line all the way up to the top. Same thing over here, right there, all the way up to the top. And then this whole thing, the biggest dimension all the way up to here is 2 inches. So I'm going to come in here, draw an edge that goes from the bottom, straight up 2. And I'm going to do a quick push-pull on this surface up to here, and just double-click here. And then just to keep this, all right, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm getting there. I'm starting to fill out this information, or this geometry.
Nice, nice.
Oh, check it out. I figured a thing out. See how these little tabs right here, where I have my nail holes in, these are like domed over nail holes, so you can actually they go at 45 degrees. You put a nail in on both sides, and they're just offset from each other. Those pieces right there actually are the same cutout of here. So when they cut the steel, those 2 pieces overlap so they don't waste a bunch of steel between cuts. So that's why this is here, which Tice was asking about. That's the reason, because this goes in there. And that also means they're slightly offset from each other. So because the 2 nails, if you put both nails in the same height, they would hit each other inside the piece of wood. So this one, it's hard to tell. This one's probably like an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/4 inch taller, so that the 2 nails go in and cross through each other like that. So yeah, good question, Tyson.
That are you gonna get into? I mean, that definitely feels like the realm of, oh, that is not worth modeling.
Well, we'll see. I know these little gaps I made were 1 inch by a 1/2 inch, so I can make the tabs on the other side the same. I don't think everything's going to nest together perfectly though. That could be a whole nother thing, to model this flat and then fold it. You know, that's a thing that could happen. Eric could do that. Okay, so I'm gonna also, let's see, come in here, give me that piece of wood back. I'm gonna bring this down to here, and here, and then also gonna do that.
Nice.
Pull that out. 0.047. I'm having a hard time with that 7.8 versus 8.7. That's why I have to keep looking. All right, and I'm just gonna clean that up.
There's a little bit, and this will have occurred to you too, and it's just a way of doing it. The questions come up a few times of, well, this is symmetrical. Why wouldn't you model half? Why aren't those 2 components? And I'm going to pontificate for a second and then let
Please.
you. All I can say is I'm guilty of this too, where you're modeling something that will be a solid object, and so you sort of just start out with that mentality to start with, and maybe sometimes you change it halfway through, but also it's not. There's not a good answer. There's just sort of like, you know what, that would be smarter, but sometimes you're just like, but it would save me 30 seconds overall, and I'm already in the zone. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, that's not far off of the truth. I mean, that's definitely because I started into it and I started modeling, and now I'm here. That's I doesn't sound like a good reason. I I mean, I'm a big fan of components. I like components a lot, and I think they're super helpful. Uh, Modeling half of something rather than all of something is a great idea. But I agree. I don't always think of it. I just sometimes I don't think of it. That's the reason.
yeah. There's something to be said too, just for the there definitely are some stuff where you're like, oh, this should be obvious to you, but when you're modeling and talking, it's a lot of bandwidth already consumed.
Yeah, I will agree with that. All right, but so here's the thing I'm going to do though. This is the thing. I'm going to take these edges I just created. I'm going to option copy them up, straight up to say there. Take that, slap it down to here. And now those tabs actually fit in those holes. So I did it. I did the thing.
You did it. Ooh.
Um, but yeah, I will 100% agree because I know I'm I don't want to make it sound like I think that I do anything that other people couldn't do. I'm sure other people could get up here and live model and probably do. There's probably other people who live model in SketchUp, but there's a thing to it where all the talking whilst modeling uh, can deprive you of some basic modeling technique that you should know better about. Probably the way to say that.
Yeah. I have no idea if this analogy is at all true because I don't play an instrument and I don't play an instrument and sing, but I've heard that you kind of have to learn to do both at the same time. Uh, so I don't know. Does anybody out there perform and did it take you some effort to be able to play well and sing at the same time without? I don't know. Maybe that's a terrible analogy.
It's I think it's valid. I think that's valid. All right. What I want to do here, I want to make this is going to be a little weird. I'm going to draw an arc. Just make a three-sided arc because I don't want it to be too big. Something like that. Copy that over here. Draw another line and just kind of make this arc a little more pleasing. Okay. Now I'm going to grab these three lines, offset them. I'll offset them the same number. My 0.0487. No, 78.
Well, that was close one.
That's too small. Yes.
Most
Almost had it.
General construction is accurate to the third decimal, so that could have been disastrous.
I feel like I have a lot of stories to tell about some things related to design and construction. It is true that yeah, most construction's not rocket science. Tape measures go to, most of the time you're looking at like 1/16 of an inch is like really dialing it in. Mm-hmm. So the fact that people worry about designing to the fourth decimal point or something always cracks me up. Yeah, as soon as you find a framer with a tape measure that has whatever a 64th of an inch on his on there, then then you can worry about going really fine. But
I will tell you, you did this just a few moments ago, as in the delay of the stream, but your ability to just dive into that tiny microscopic wall of 2 or 3 mil piece of metal and erase those pieces is all about that lovely space mouse, because that is such a pain to do if anything else.
I apologize for not calling it out because at this point it's like second nature. But yeah, man, if you are a SketchUp user, if you are a 3D modeler of any sort, and you're looking for the thing to use to take your craft to the next level, I would recommend checking out a Space Mouse, because just the ease of moving around and everything else, it's a huge help. I really, really I'm a huge fan. Anybody who watches knows that I love my space mounts. Sometimes I think maybe it's crippling me a little bit, but yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I think it'd be funny at some point. I don't know if you notice, and in fact, right now I can only think of one or maybe two movies, but they tend to they're such a cool looking, a little bit sci-fi,
Hmm.
and such a unique purpose that they tend to show up in movies as just a unmodified prop.
Yeah. The biggest one is the Expanse. I remember
Oh
all the
yeah,
couches had space mounts on them.
totally they did. I had forgotten that one. I was thinking of a silly movie of a couple of years back. There was a GI Joe where I don't know, they were guiding a missile or something. But yeah, it just shows up.
All right. I'm taking all this. I'm going to make it a group. I just intersected it with the rest of the model. So now I can just come in, delete that. Bonus material right here. And then put that right there. There we go. That's my nail hole, my angled nail hole. And I can take that, move that copy from the midpoint here, and then grab both of them. And again, copy, modifier key, grab the middle of something. I should have two on this side. There we go. Almost there. This top level of detail is just about done. I'll probably come in, not probably, so I'll probably do the thing I'm just doing right now. I'm going to cut that, come into context, edit, paste in place, and then I'll actually grab all of those. I want one solid, right? So I'm going to say explode that. That'll merge that. And then to get a good enough hole through that geometry, I'm going to put a line here. And then just push pull this through to the other side. Not sure why that didn't break. Why are you arguing with me?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing for you.
Uh,
I'm not
okay.
arguing at you.
What's going on here? Sometimes.
Well, I have a question for our amazing viewers out there. A little bit ago, you did a little intersect with model to get that to work out okay. And a little insider baseball here. Aaron might be doing a skill builder soon on some tips for using intersect with model. So I'd be curious if anybody out there has questions that Aaron could answer in such a video. Like I said, that's just teeing him up for something else. But
I like it. I like it.
let us
You're
know.
reading the future.
What do you want to see?
Yeah, intersect with model is kind of funny because people ask all the time about solid tools, and solid tools are great. I like solid tools. I use them a whole lot. But the amount of stuff you can do with just regular intersect with model should not be forgotten. All right, so I had a thing happen there. I do not know what happened. This might just be some small face modeling stuff. I'm probably modeling way too small right now, but this one, I'm just going to pull it all the way through like this. And then speaking of which, I'm going to select this, intersect face with model. And then I should be able to delete this and not have to worry about that face not showing up right. I don't know what happened. I wonder if I'm slightly off axis. I do that sometimes too. All right. Erase that. Cool. It's like one beautiful piece. And then, speaking of modeling geometry, I did have or detailed geometry. There was a point where I was working in a truss design shop, and I had a designer come up to me about a job that had shipped, and he had a bunch of pieces of paper and some handwritten notes and stuff, and he showed me that these set of trusses that went out, tops of them were just under a 16th too small. We had designed them incorrect. And
And how many were
I
there?
looked at him and I went, how much does this table move when I push down on it? Like, I don't think we're going to pull back. And it was a huge, I mean, this was a huge house. The roof was like 4 or 5 thousand square feet. It was enormous. Home up in the mountains. Like, dude, just humidity in the air causes wood to swell more than a 16th of an inch. So, yeah, we did not pull those trusses back because that's not the level of detail we work to generally. It's not like machining a watch part where, that's going to be important. All right.
Coming up next week, Eric is going to model a full-on working watch.
I like it. I like having Eric on board so we can put this stuff on him.
I agree. There's a lot of stuff that we get to throw at Eric now. I don't want to do it. Aaron and I would just throw stuff back and forth across the fence, but now we both get to throw stuff at Eric.
That's right. It's beautiful. All right, so I'm going to grab this. I just made a 1/2 inch cylinder, and I'm going to stick it. I'm trying to snap to turn it backwards. If you're ever having a hard time getting something to go where you want it, if you move the object so that it covers up the cursor, it will turn see-through like that. That's too big, isn't it? That's way too big. All right, let's scale it down a little bit. That. Cool. Slide that over here. I think these would be even a little smaller still. Right, and then I'm going to take it again with the copy. Modifier key. What happens here? So this is a thing. Because I modeled that straight up and then rotated the whole component, when I hit copy, it's showing me the axes relative to, or it's showing me the copy planes relative to the axes inside the element I'm trying to copy. But if I see down here the modifier, if I tap command, it'll show me the world axes or reflection planes based on the world axes instead. So that is a awesome note because you should probably at some point be doing something like that. So be copying or moving elements around like that.
Another nod to the flip tool and
so good.
Recognizing some of the use cases.
That's right.
The fringe use cases.
So solid component. So let's grab this one. Speaking of solid tools, let's subtract this from this. There's my angled hole. Grab this. Tools. Subtract from this. All right. Highest level of detail is now did. Oh, but you know what? It's not this component anymore. So yeah, my one gripe about solid tools. As soon as you use a solid tool on a solid component, it becomes a solid group and not a solid tool anymore. So how do I fix that? Well, if I have a copy of it like this, what I can always do is come in here, grab this geometry. I'm going to grab all this, Command C to copy it, come in here, select it all, delete, Command V, paste it back in. And now this component, this is still the group, so I can just throw that out. But this component is now that component. So if I'd had other copies of it, that would have taken care of that problem. But that is it. That is the top level of detail. So I don't want this to be too underwhelming. But when I want to talk, the other levels of detail I want to talk about are not super exciting. I don't want to go higher level detail than this. I could. Actually, funny story. So the company I used to work for worked real close with Simpson Strong-Tie. We actually wrote some of their software. I was actually a product manager on one of their connector selector softwares. And one of the things that they did in their software is they modeled all of their hangers in SketchUp software. So they actually created 3D models. And they sent us these models. And these models, beautiful, beautiful models. I mean, every detail of the steel fabrication was just looked awesome. So I mean, they did the radius for every bend. I mean, each of these pieces, but one hanger was probably more geometry than an entire house. So beautiful models, but not necessarily useful. I mean, for things like, actually, I don't know what they looked good. So I mean, rendering it and putting it into a catalog, that would have been awesome. I mean, they even had the type, every type. This was in there, but not just in there, but rounded. And oh, it was crazy. Beautiful, beautiful models, but so heavy. So when I think about, I'm going to copy this over here. When I think about level of detail, there's three levels I think of. One is this, where this is probably usable. Here, let's go in here. Let's grab everything. What do I got here? 924 entities. So almost 1,000 faces and edges that make this up. That's actually not terrible, but it's not something I would want to put 100 of these in my model. If I was doing a framing detail, right? So somebody wanted to see how to connect this up and how this should join to the piece behind it or something like that. Awesome. Great, great thing. Throw some nails in there. You're set. If I had, I'm back here and I got this beam going across and I got 20 2x10s tying in the side of it, I don't need this level of detail. A step beyond that is I'm going to take this model into layout where I have same thing, 10 of those, and I'm going to be looking at straight down from above. So if I take these guys right here, flip them up, and let's do this too. I'm going to grab this, rotate this 90 degrees, and we'll scale this and pull it out. So, right, so here's my header, and here's my two 2x10 joists sitting on there. If I look at this from above in layout, that's how much, leave and go. Let's go to camera. Let's get official with this. Standard views. I'm going to go boom, straight top down, camera, parallel projection. That is what I'm going to see. So if I print that out, that's not much to call out that there's a connector there. So when I do my framing plan, I don't have a whole lot there to refer to saying this is an LUS or equal or better. So let's talk about those two use cases. Here we'll do 3 of these. That way we have, you should see one of each. Oh, I got to get out of this. Parallel projection makes my head feel weird.
Oh man, have you had a conversation going back to Eric? Like he's comfortable in that space. He models deliberately with perspective turned off, and it's one of the things that he and I go back and forth on. And like, why? I mean, he does beautiful work, so I can't really point that it's a fault. But man, it makes me crazy.
I just crossed them off my Christmas card list. That's not
appropriate.
Not going to happen. Nope.
Yep. All right, who else out there?
Let's hear it. Be honest.
Who keeps perspective off? Go ahead, fess it up.
All right, so
try not to kick you out.
So I'm going to draw one version of what this hanger might look like. So I might do something like this. Grab that, and of course I will use copy. And then we'll connect the bottoms together like this, so I have something underneath here. And I grab the whole thing, probably would throw a color onto it. Grab a gray color. And that might be it. Because I don't want Z fighting, I may grab all of this, scale it about the middle. Just something like that. So it's just slightly larger. So there we go. See, it's a little bit away from the faces. Should drop a little bit below the faces, but I still got that gray. By doing that, I don't end up with Z fighting. So I would probably be coloring all of this too. So same thing. But with that, I'm just gonna make it a group right now. That might be something that I would throw in for, this level of view. I don't need to have all this detail. I could get away with just that. The third level of detail I was talking about for layout, this is going to look ridiculous in SketchUp, but when I get to layout, it's going to be so nice. I would do something like this. Here, maybe 3 inches. Draw a square. There we go. I'll do this right in. There we go. And I'll probably fill that with a color that's really going to stand out. Like I might do this like black or blue or something like that, but I would do something like this for my layout hanger. Let me show you why. I made it a little bit. Hold on. Don't freak out yet.
I'm just going to point out that this goes back way to the start of our conversation, and the B on this one, the beefiness is quite large. This one is
the big B. Oops. Get rid of that. Maybe something like that is what I'd actually do.
We don't have many people who are jumping in to defend Eric and say that modeling Sam's perspective is the way to go. Although, of course, everybody uses parallel projection from time to time, but
it's great for output. So in this example here, like I said, if I put this in, it looks super weird here, right? I wouldn't want to look at a model and see this. That would be dumb. But if I go to my top view and I go to my parallel projection, even if I zoom way out, I can see that connector, and I could throw a call out on there saying what that is. My scale might be a little bit different, but that was basically when I had to make a layout in SketchUp. That's kind of the geometry I throw in there. So now the question though is, so I have these 3 things. Oops, I didn't make got a little nauseous there. Perspective view. All right, I'm gonna make this a group 2. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here to my tags. I'm gonna create 3 tags. I'm gonna go LOD 1. Why didn't that work? No, we'll do this. We'll do hanger DET1. Hanger detail 1. Since this would probably be the only thing connected to this. I wouldn't connect other levels of detail necessarily to this. So I'm not going to use LOD. I'm being cautious too. Hanger.
Hanger.
There you go. I imported those ones. All right. So this guy right here, he's going to be on level 1. Lowest level. This guy right here, be my level 2. And right here, he is going to be level 3. And I'm going to take each of these, I'm going to move it, move a copy to there, grab this one, move a copy to there, and now I'm going to grab this one and this one, Command X, come in here, group that, and then edit, paste in place the other 2. Now, get rid of all this. Now it's just a matter of choosing. Oops. I didn't do that right. I need to grab this guy, you are level 3. You. All right, so now I can choose what level of detail I want on these hangers. I could even create scenes connected to them, but then I could just flip through that and actually make a change. So obviously I have one of them here, not super inspiring, but if I have, as I have more and more of these, to quickly be able to go, show me the lower level detail. Pretty nice. Quick and easy way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And because
I
they're all
love
connected
those.
too, so I just, I can move all that together and then know that I can just switch between them like that. Yeah. Oh, see, I told you somebody's in there saying that you have to put rounded edges on there. I already disclaimed that. Absolutely. We talked about that. And then we talked about level of detail. And here's the question. Yes, I could absolutely come in here and I could use Fredo Corner if I wanted to automate the process. I could come in here with push pull, put a small curve here, a larger curve here, push pull both of them down. Either of those things would do that. It would get me the geometry I need. The question is, what does that bring to my model? If I'm concerned about, oh, this is a round, it wouldn't have a sharp thing right here, then I could just come in here and go, okay, just soften that up like that so I don't have the harsh, I like it better with the line though.
Oh,
You could
Aaron,
absolutely do that.
we know.
But that would be the question is it, how much more geometry do you want to introduce? Because remember, this is already pushing 1,000 pieces, right? Edges and faces, almost 1,000. If I go in and round every corner, so I round this right here, I round my cuts here, I round my bucket, I round, if I was to go in and round all that stuff up, I bet I'd end up with like 3 times as much geometry. So do I want a 3,000 edge and face piece of hardware that repeats 50 times through my model? And that's just another level of detail question. Maybe there's a hero version on top of this that's closer to Simpson Strong Tie's actual renderable piece of modeling that you would want to go after. You could do it. You could. I'm not gonna, but you could.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to do it, but you can do it.
One could.
Yeah, that's the beauty here.
That's right. You do what you want. Okay, cool. So there we go. We have 3 levels of detail hanger created. Let's it's 1 o'clock. Let's knock out another one. This one should go quicker. It's more geometry, but I will explain less. We already did one.
Well, all right then.
Yep. Okay.
Speed round.
That's right. All right, just cracked my knuckles off camera. I can't do it again. All right. So very similar. Let's do half of one. Let's do that. We're just gonna start. We're just gonna model half of this, and then we'll detail it out and then flip it over. Good job. Good job, chat. Good thinking. All right. So this actually goes up the full height. It goes from underneath the piece up over the other piece. So we'll do that. I'll pull this back here. What's my overall width is 5.56. So I'll draw a line that is 5.56. I will move it from the middle. Whoops. Move this edge from the middle point. Drop it right here between. Oh, I didn't draw a line there. There we go. There's a midpoint. Missed it. There it is. Sometimes I get happy and excited and I forget to do things like pay attention to where I'm clicking. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but then when that's actually what you're doing, that's like the reason you're here, then it's a bummer.
Oh, that
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
All right, so I'm just going to drop this straight down to just like that. My total depth is 2.25. Oh, you know what? I goofed this up because this is not 1.5 right now. I did some crazy scaling. There we go. Actually, I don't think they even go that far back, but anyhow. Um, I think that needs to be more. I don't think my dimensions on here are correct.
And we all picked up on that, so thank
I know.
goodness you
Sorry.
did.
My familiarity with it, I'm like, something's not right. And everybody else is going, who cares?
Well, you figure those out. I'm gonna go back to the original, some of the original welcomes, and throw out some. Hey, we got Newfoundland, Poland, people coming from Norway, all the way from Texas and Kentucky, and Syria. Got our friends from the UK. Several people joining us from there. Always welcome. Nice to see you. Little Colorado, little Denmark, coming from Canada, Pakistan. That's amazing. So, man, I love seeing all these, everybody coming in from all over the place.
That is awesome.
Amazing. And Vancouver. And there's a new one came in just recently. What was that? Anyway.
That's so cool. Welcome, one and all, to the SketchUp United Nations.
I know, especially from the UK, sometimes you guys will share where you're coming from specifically, which is nice because I know there's several people, so we just generically call out the UK, but then don't get your specifics.
Yeah, yell it out if you want to.
And South Africa, the Czech Republic, very cool. Oh, and Steve Guzman, all the way from Volta,
I've been there.
Hungary, and Maryland. I should say Steve Guzman, all the way from the 3D warehouse.
That's right.
Anybody got complaints about the warehouse?
Ooh.
Guzman is here, so it's a good time to complain. Our very own PM of the warehouse, the 3D warehouse. So tell him everything you want him to build for the 3D warehouse.
And that's the last time Steve ever came to a live model. I don't know.
So weird.
Wow, called out.
Dang.
I have an arc. I have an arc on here. I think it's an arc. I'm gonna say it's an arc because that'll be a fun thing to draw. So I'm gonna go use a tool I don't use very often, which is this 2-point arc tool. I like it because I can start the middle and then I can say, that's not the right one. What's the one I meant to? Arc. I'm sorry. I meant to say grab arc. I can say draw it on this plane. Here's the middle. Start here. Spin it up to here. Oh, so simple. Stretch it a little. That's how it looks to me.
Ooh, someone came from Romania.
Wow.
People in from all over. Yeah. But nobody's throwing and my earlier request to give people what do we want to see about intersect with model. I don't remember if we got any
Guess
Any
everybody knows it
suggestions?
already. I don't need to mess with it.
Yeah, and Steve is slinking away so nobody can tell him what to do.
Jason really knows how to clear a room.
It is my gift.
So I'm gonna throw this out again. If you're just joining us or haven't joined since we started, uh, we are holding a little bit of a celebration. We're going to be crossing 500,000 subscribers soon on YouTube, and would love your help in celebrating by creating a model that has something to do with that milestone. What does 500,000 subscribers look like? What does 500,000 of anything look like? Uh, Maybe there's something that you learned how to do from watching our YouTube channel, or you have a daydream about what the studio setup is like at SketchUp. Any of those thoughts cross your mind, I would love to see a model of that. So if you want to, get a model of that put together, get it up on 3D Warehouse, share it on our forum. And when we actually do that, when we cross, we're about 5,000 away from 500,000 subscribers. We're going to do a special stream where we're going to look at a lot of those models. So if you want to get your work on the air, so we will show it. Yeah, get that model made and get it up on the forum. Love to see it. I'm going to
We
borrow
would.
this whole.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Damon is in here from watching from Mars as he slowly dies from lack of potato. No, wait. Oh, sorry, that's Pat. My bad. Bad reference.
Oh,
All right, so people are just going to copy an Aaron Save model 500,000 times. Do you know roughly how much geometry is in the original model and
I
how much we'll create?
I don't. I would be interested to see though, because I was real conscious of the number of edges I put into that model. That was a live model too. I modeled that Face Me live. So best of luck, folks, on that one. We got little cuts right here. I don't know what they probably line up with something.
Oh, that's a great suggestion, Matt. It's not it's what you can model anything you want, but it has to have exactly 500,000 faces.
That would be interesting. I think that every single model would have like some hidden bunch of dashes off on the side. Right?
Right. You
Ah,
would,
I'm 4,700 lines short. Just put them over here and hide them.
and be 500,000 copied rectangles. Okay, next idea for Eric is he gets to model the disco ball we're going to use to celebrate, and it has to be 500,000 faces.
Perfect. Wow, what is Eric on? Or did he leave by now? He's like, screw
I
this.
haven't
Out.
seen him, but we are just teeing him up here.
He's so uncomfortable somewhere and doesn't know why. All right, so this particular hanger is actually 18 gauge steel. No, 14 gauge steel, which is thicker. The smaller the number of the gauge, the thicker the material is. And this is 0.07812 inches. There you go, folks. You want me to precision model? I'm doing it.
And please say that 10 times real fast.
So if you ever get this, so it's not letting me pull. I'm going to hide the rest of this. So let me take this face this way, but it won't let me pull it this way right away. I first pull it out because it's hitting this edge right here. So we'll let me go past that. A couple things you can do right there. What I generally do is I hit the modifier key, Option. There we go. So now I can pull this way, but I can't pull this way. Option says create a brand new face and pull through, and that'll actually let you cross over existing geometry. So if that happens, just do that. And 0.07812 inches, of course. Pull that one this way. Same thing. 0.08712 inches. All right. And I'm going to have a little bit of cleanup to do here because I got a little bit of weird overlap with that geometry. So I'd have to figure out what am I going to do with this, and then whoop, up the top I'm going to have something similar. Weirdness here, that's not going to work. But fortunately, it's a pretty easy cleanup. I'm just going to take this line, pull it straight across like that, go straight up. That'll work for that piece. I don't know why that line's broken. At the bottom, yeah, I don't know if I would bother with doing anything to clean this up. Maybe what I'd do is go from here straight across like that. Push this through like this. Maybe I'll grab this line right here. Pull it straight down to there. That might be my solution for cleanup on that. Actually, I'd probably, maybe, well, I don't know, this is an angle one. So I could do the same thing here. I could grab this edge, scoot it up. Whoops. Grab the edge.
I think you almost don't want to clean it up because if you start cleaning up the tiny stuff, then somebody's going to start saying again, oh, you better add those tiny curves in.
I know. So yeah, leave it alone like I didn't. Whoops. I did something and got rid of an edge. Let's go ahead and just draw a line across here to close it. It's not going to close this big face because this big face is interrupted by my screw holes or my nail holes. So if you have something like this, that's all there is. There's a floating hole here. The quickest way to do this is to go to the hole, the offender, the thing punching a hole into it, and draw two lines off of that geometry to the outside geometry. And then SketchUp will see that as two closed faces and give you your geometry back. So good tip if you ever run into that. Yeah. All right, so we got one more hole. It's probably centered. Give me a... I didn't do that beforehand. There we go.
I wonder, I actually don't know. This is one of those things that I'd have to go experiment and be like, if you created all of the profiles somewhat like you did and then used something like Fredo's joint push pull and to try and get it to all resolve in one fell swoop, I wonder if it would do so pretty decently.
I was considering that. I ended up not trying because of how hard I failed with native modeling last time and felt like I had to come through with this and do this without extensions. This is what, this is what pride looks like, folks.
Well, I'm wondering out loud, partially because I'm not convinced. I absolutely love that tool, but sometimes the results, they're not that great.
That's fair.
When you force geometry together, it doesn't always work out.
I think that's a good question. It wouldn't be too hard to grab one of these models and strip it down to just the. Huh. There's a thing that happened.
Yeah, looks like
I don't even know. Oh, when I moved the screw hole over or the nail hole. Huh. That's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool.
A feature, not
That's
a bug.
Right. Wasn't bad modeling. It was adventure.
It was an improvement on the design.
That's right. I was optimizing. Okay, so I thought I was going to see if those were even, but they're obviously not. They're much smaller here. So what I might do is go like this and go push this in like 0.02 and then do that on here, here, and here and see if that looks closer. I'm going to do it again. Here, 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 here. Oh, that's closer. That looks more like what it got there. Yeah, so I kind of like that. I like the look of that. That looks pretty cool. So if that was the geometry I want to do, so if I was copying this, what I would probably do is not go in and do it with raw geometry, but actually take the component and copy this whole thing and modifier, drag this to a midpoint that I can use like this and get those two. I would do it like that. I would do it separate and then come back and connect them up. Just because if I'm not 100% like perfect with copying raw geometry, there's a chance something will touch or, something will get weird. But this, I feel okay about this. All right, so I'm going to take both of those. I'm going to make a new component. I'm going to call it, what is the name of this thing? This is an LB.
Well, it's component number 4, clearly. I mean,
Yeah, some people are okay with that. I don't know. Never me. All right, I'm going to take that, and then we can do some push pulling by, of course, 0.071. Nope. 81. Nope. 812. There we go. Pull that down. Clean that up. Pull that down. Clean that up. Clean up. Clean up. And I could come through here too now at this point. I could turn on my option eraser, my smooth eraser, and find any spots that I want to like make look a little bit cleaner. Maybe even like a lot of this thing. Actually, so let me think about this. Whoops. Get rid of this. Make it look like a bent over piece. If I was really worried about this, I'm kind of okay with the square blockiness. But if I really wanted to make this blend in look a little better, I maybe would put like, oh, that went significantly faster than the last one. So let me just do it. Maybe I come in here with the circle. I'm going to do like a 6-sided circle. I'm going to come to the center. Why are you not center? I don't know why I couldn't do that as grab this. Of course, I'm doing this after I copied the halves over, but maybe push this back.
Matt's trying to throw shade. He's trying to say your holes are, I don't know, 0.37 millimeters off, and they should be offset from each other proportionally to the width of the second band rail and the beefiness.
Should probably ban him from the channel.
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah, so maybe something like that would work. These pieces are actually, they're pushed up, crumpled up from the bottom. So they're actually, the profile of them would look like this. You come over and go back down. But again, that's the level of detail that is probably excessive for the use that I would get out of this particular model. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the reason you put shapes like that, like crumpled or ridges, folds into steel, is just to make it more difficult to bend. So if you picture a flat piece of steel, bending it in half like this is the easiest way, right? To take a flat piece of steel, bend it like that. But if you put a ridge into that steel and try to bend it against the ridge, it becomes very difficult because you're trying to push steel along its stronger axis. So these bends here make it less likely to fail up here where there's a small amount of material holding a large amount of load. So kind of cool. Just FYI. I need a the more you know star to shoot across. I'm gonna set that up. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna come in here, grab all this. That's not the color I want. Same silver as before. All right. So let's look at what would I do if I was doing a lower level of detail for this? So this particular connector, one of the things that's important to note about this is that it does go up and over the header right here. So if I was modeling this, I'd probably make sure to include that piece, right? So make over 1.5 inches, something like that. That. And we'll move it up. So I get away from Z fighting. We'll just say 0.1. Take this point, take that out this way. 0.1. And then drop that line straight down. This out this way. Say 2.
Aaron, just keep going. But in the
Mm-hmm.
chat, we're starting a betting poll on a ring cage match between the nails that are going to be hitting each other in this one.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so if you want to get in on that action, just let us know which nail you want to bet on.
Yeah, these should be offset right here. They probably, I'm looking over for the detail and, oh, there it is. Yeah, so it's hard to tell, but I'm guessing this one is pushed this way a 1/16 of an inch and this one's pulled this way a 1/16 of an inch. So if I was
Don't
to do
offset them
that,
now. I mean,
I'll grab
there's
these two.
some
Oh, no, you
strong
talk trash. I'm
competition.
going to fix things. Go this way,
Oh,
1/16. And then we'll grab the opposite holes.
I had a sure winner.
Nail cage match.
It's going to be epic.
There we go. Now they're offset.
Bets are off.
That's also why, I mean, these, well, you can actually see right here, right? So this geometry, oops, grab too much. Is up there while this one's dropped down here. Looks like they fabricated it wrong, but that's intentional. All right. I'm going to grab this geometry, same thing. I'm just going to create my same level of detail here. Option to copy to the center. Get a bottom piece on here so I can see it. And then make that a group. I'm making these extremely blocky for this level of detail. You could come in here and get some of this relief on here. If I was to cut this at an angle or whatever, you could do that too. This is super light, but really what I'm looking for is like, can I see steel at this level, zoomed out this far? So last time when I did my I'm going to assign these right now before I go any further. Assign the group inside the component to level 3. This guy right here is going to level 2, which I'll turn back on. For my level 3 hangers right here, I'm going to actually go steal this. I'm going to copy it. Come over here. Paste it. I don't know. I like when it does that. I got to rotate it. That flat like that. And then I'm going to take that. By the center. I'm putting this one at the top because I would probably want to do something like this. So if I looked at that from the top, I would know that that hanger is intended to go over the top. So where the bottom one, I did stick it down at the bottom, not for any particular reason. It doesn't matter if you're, in the parallel projection, top view. This one's going to cross over, so I'm going to see that coming in the top, whereas this one's obviously face mounted below. But I might do something like that for that level of detail, just to get that detail of the fact that it is a top mount hanger. Yeah, and then I'll take that. That's already on detail 1. Grab it, move it to here. Grab this one, move it to here. And grab both of these, cut them, come in context, edit, paste in place. And now I should have 2 connectors, 3 levels of detail each. I can't even orbit properly, not in perspective. Parallel just distorts me so much. All right, so there we go. Got our top mount, our face mount, level 1. Level 2, we have our little hangers there, our low detail hangers, our super light hangers, and then of course our heroes on level 3. So that's what I was thinking of trying to model today. What do you guys think? Should I do that?
Please.
It's did. You can't undid it.
You can't.
All right. So I promised one more thing that I was going to do, and that is actually taking these and getting them out of the model. So right now, if I saved this model and shared it, this is what you'd get, right? I'd have 2 images. I'd have Heather. I'd have these stand-in boards. I'd have 2 components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these, right-click on it, and hit Save As. Then I'm going to call this, oh, it already calls it by what I had it. So I'm going to call it my LB, and I'm just going to save it right on my desktop. Grab the other one, same thing, right-click, Save As, and I'll save that as LUS, again, onto my desktop. Now, let's say, just start a brand new model, clean slate. So this has no tags. If I go into my components, the only component I have in here right now is Heather. I don't like windows going off the screen. It bothers me. All right, so that's all I have in here. Nothing else is in here. So what I could do now is I'd say File, Import, and go grab one of those connectors and drop it in here. And look what happens. I didn't get my tags.
Yeah, tags coming across. I don't know. Have you had good success, good reliability?
I've heard there's issues with the new version of this. Well, that never mind. I wonder if I come in here. They're still tagged. The tag's just not there. Huh. I was doing pretty good. Now I'm feeling some Barbie water slide vibes right now. I don't like how it feels. So what I would have to do in that case is I'd have to actually, in my template, add those. Because I should be able to still come in and say, oh, they're there. Never mind. They were hidden. That was weird. Okay. Yeah, so after you import it, hit the plus icon once in your tag list and everything is good to go. I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know what just happened. It's working, I guess. I don't know. It happened eventually. I'm going to bring my LB in too real quick. Just drop that guy in here. And same thing now. But with that, those components, like so you can see them right now, they're part of this model. The tags did come in. I don't know. The tags folder didn't refresh. I don't know. Maybe somebody actually in the comments has seen that and knows what that is. My list didn't refresh for some reason, but yeah, they're there, and now I got them in 3 levels of detail too. So that's what I got going on.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, that is what we did. Yeah. We're there. It's 1:43, and I didn't hurt myself today. Plus.
So you still have 15 minutes. I mean,
that's true.
Let's go. Let's get to it.
What could go wrong? Let's model a water slide real quick. No.
Let's model a water slide coming off of a cathedral.
Cool. So yeah, so there we go. There are, I mean, just to throw out there, this is a fun exercise of modeling. I'm a big fan of just modeling a thing that you have a good illustration of. So I came across those illustrations on the Home Depot website and thought, oh, that would be pretty cool. So I do recommend, if you're a SketchUp user, even if you use it professionally, I recommend always just finding a fun thing to model. Just something that you can just sit down with and play with and make a model of. It doesn't have a deadline or anything like that. Something like this. Having said that, if you do want Simpson hangers or connectors, they do have they're a manufacturer on the on the 3D warehouse right now. So you can actually pull their page up and they have a bunch of connectors already in there. So you can actually go grab theirs if you want to take a look at them. They are good looking models, like I said. They don't have the different levels of detail. That was just something I wanted to throw in there and add. But yeah, it was a fun model. It was a fun. I wasn't sure how I was going to even. I hadn't really thought about that, to be totally honest. But yeah. So I guess I need to throw out one more time. Just again. If you haven't heard it, or if you're just joining us towards the end, we are doing a little celebration on the cusp of 500,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And what we'd love to see is you model something inspired by 500,000 subscribers. It could be, like I said, a model consisting of exactly that was Matt's idea, exactly 500,000 edges or faces or something. It could be an illustration to show what 500,000 really looks like. It could be something related to the channel. Like if there's a model that you've already done and you did it because of what you learned on our channel, we would love to see that too. So think about it. If there's anything in particular that you think would really show 500,000, model it, get it up on 3D Warehouse, get it into our forum. Tyson just put a comment in the chat. That's where it is. We'll have a shorter link to that in the future, but right now, just follow that link. It's pinned to the top of the forum too, so if you open up the forum, you'll find it right away. Yeah, let us see what you got. And then what we'll do is we'll do a live stream and we'll actually pull up a bunch of those models and we'll take a look at them. We'll open it up right in SketchUp, try them out, spin them around, look at your modeling. It'll be a lot of fun. So thanks so much for coming by. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. Hope we had a good time. We will be back here next week doing something. You know what we're doing? What are we doing?
I don't know, but we've been having some great ideas, some great suggestions coming in. There's some that I don't know if they're sarcastic because there's some electronics and stuff, and I Aaron, would you like to model a circuit board?
Oh my
I hear
gosh.
that's your specialty.
I'm still traumatized by that. Don't ever model a video card, guys. Actually, I mean, as a modeling session, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of like putting a puzzle together, like a 500,000 piece puzzle, and every piece looks the same. But so there's some like just kind of. It wasn't too bad, but it was not a fun model. It was not. It was the same thing over and over again. Yeah, don't do that.
Nah, but Bastille Day is coming up, so maybe the Arc de Triomphe or the Eiffel Tower or something else, or we don't know, but surely it'll be something interesting.
That's right. Cool. So yeah, keep an eye on the forum. We'll post about it early next week, and I'll love to see you there. Until then, you guys have a great weekend, and yeah, check out the forum. Go to our forum and get your models up because we'd love to see your work. All right, we'll see you later, guys.
Thanks, everyone.